Boop. Happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, March the 16th, 2021, and today's daily Bible readings come to us from Psalm 107, 1 through 16, Numbers 20, 1 through 13, and then 1 Corinthians 10, 6 through 13. And I'm going to look at the text from 1 Corinthians and talk about how we're all really are in good company. So we have this, to use a fancy term, this fallacy of uniqueness, right? We all like to think of ourselves as incredibly unique individuals, which to an extent we are. But we also like to think that that uniqueness goes down to the fact that nobody has ever experienced anything like we've ever experienced before. This is something I kind of realized, a mistake I realized I was making in my adolescence, when I was a teenager, and you get into this mindset where you think nobody's had the problems you've had before. Nobody's felt like you've felt before, that your experience is the first time anybody's experiencing anything. And it's an honest mistake to make, but we have this kind of trap that we fall into, that nobody has ever gone through this before, and they've not gone through it like I have. It's something that we tell ourselves, and often we use it to rationalize poor judgments and even poorer outcomes. And it's a temptation that we face. And it's a temptation we face as Christians when things don't go like we think they should, because like we've talked about before, sometimes we come to the faith and we think it's all going to be just, great and awesome. And then we realize it's not, and that we suddenly face temptations and hardships and toils and trials and tribulations, and we just can't deal with it. And so we decide, well, it's just, it's not worth it, and nobody else has had to put up with this. And then the truth is that's more than likely not true. So it's this temptation that we fall into. It's a temptation that John Wesley warned the people called Methodists about when he was living and, organizing the church in England. He used this text, as a matter of fact, and preached a sermon called On Temptation, and it closes it with this warning, about this text, verse 13 specifically, but then following and saying, don't think that you've never ever, like nobody has ever experienced the kind of trials and tribulations and temptations that you're going through. That's not the case. There have been a long line of faithful people before you that have all gone through it. We have a book about it. It's called the Bible. And he, like I said, he used this scripture where St. Paul is warning the people called Corinthians the same thing. He says, no testing has overtaken you that is not common to everyone. So the trials and temptations that we face today, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people don't go through difficult and incredibly hard times, and that this year hasn't been like really challenging for people, but the trials and temptations we face today merely just, they look different from those faced, by John Wesley and the people called Methodists, the early Methodists, or that were faced by Paul and the Corinthians. And they're even the same, as Paul says to us beforehand in this text, that Moses and the people called Israel faced out in the wilderness. But here's the deal. Yes, as Paul says, no testing has overtaken you that hasn't already come before and been seen by other people in different times in different ways. But here's the good news. Paul points out that the same God who delivered Moses and the Israelites in the midst of these temptations is the same one, Paul says, that will, and he's saying this to the Corinthians, will provide a way for you to endure. And that's the same God that provided a way for John Wesley and the people called Methodists to endure. And it's the same God dealing with the same problems and the same kind of people that will provide us a way to endure. So anyway, that's the DBR for today. Go forth, have a good day. I would tell you to go out and play outside, but it's really wet and nasty. So anyway, have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow with another DBR. Boop.